You don't need another affirmation to manifest your specific person. Instead, you need intuition. When I first saw my SP, I was like, this is my person. I did not wait for myself to have a bunch of affirmations to assume. I did not wait for myself to have an assumption. I did not wait for myself to have an alignment with what I want. In fact, I was depressed because I also thought that, oh my God, he is so pretty. Is he even going to love me back? But then, no matter what, my intuition was always stronger than my fears and my doubts. And I truly believe that intuition is the highest form of manifestation. Talk about how you can actually use your intuition just the way I did to manifest the love of your life, to manifest your specific person, or anything. Women have a really strong sense of intuition, and I really used my intuition to do anything in my life. And my intuition has also been disguised as delusion, which has led me to take certain actions in my life. And if you have watched my video on how I manifested everything by being delusional, you can understand what I am talking about. And if you remember the part where I mentioned that, when I was young, my mother consulted an astrologer who said that this girl will never follow traditional advice. She will never listen to you. She will always do what she wants. And this will be the best thing in her life. And she will learn from her mistakes. And I genuinely believe that there are no mistakes in life, just like there are no failures in manifestation. Because life and manifestation teaches you to know more about yourself. And that is why I do not make this channel about one particular technique, because I have personally done all of it, you know. But most importantly, with each and every failure, which I call as learning curves, I have tried to understand why I have, fallen into that situation. If you have watched my video on my specific person manifestation journey unfiltered, you know that I've talked about how I was in another relationship when I was actually calling in my SP. And this was before understanding what manifestation is. In fact, I used to be a very pessimistic person back then. I did not believe in spirituality. I was a religious child, but after that, you know what happens? You go to college and you get all philosophical, and then you get existential, and then you are like, okay, good things don't exist. And I think all of that negativity had to do a lot with the depression and the spiritual attacks that I went through after my long term relationship breakup. But despite being in that relationship and despite going through the aftermath of that relationship, my intuition kept on telling me this one thing: if I exist, he exists as well. And as you know, there are a lot of bridge of events that happen to get you what you want in your manifestation journey. Before I met my SP, before I came to know about my SP, I was going through a lot of exchange of energies with a lot of people in the form of communication, in the form of connection, in the form of friendships, dating, whatever. And I met this person who was also a celebrity crush manifestation, by the way. And I think that SP, like the second SP, or the stepping stone to my now SP, was is the classic example of how thought transmission works and how we all are a part of this collective consciousness. It does not matter if you know each other or not. So basically, the stepping stone SP, I know it sounds a little disrespectful, but I mean the person who actually led me to my now SP now. So I did not know him, and I just saw his picture on Google because I was working on an academic project and I was actually referring to his work as my source of information. And I was like, oh, this person is interesting. I would love to date him at least once in my life. And guess what? I received a text from that person on Instagram. And it so happened that we had a lot of mutuals in our contact list, and then he traveled all the way to meet me, and we had a nice time for 3 4 months. But I knew that it was never going to work out because that is what my assumption was. And honestly, I was not in love with that person. It was actually attachment. And that person brought out a really beautiful side of me, the artistic side of me, the side of me who loves clicking her own pictures, who believes in her writing, who's more outspoken. So, you meet a lot of people in your life who teach you a lot of things about yourself, which again confirms the fact that we keep on learning in manifestation, that people are essentially mirrors of you. They reflect what your assumptions are about yourself. And this is very widely misinterpreted or mistaught in the manifestation community. And I really always go through every creator's videos and the comments to find the research gap, because I sort of disagree with a lot of things, and I understood that my disagreement comes from my own experiences and my own opinions. So I was questioning the way this philosophy is peddled. So when they say that they reflect what you believe about them, or they reflect how you describe them, I think that is not entirely true, because that puts a lot of blame. And the impact of such form of a teaching is that you end up hating yourself. You end up looking at yourself as a project who needs to be fixed, and you stop humanizing your emotions. And that is why you think that feeling is the secret, alignment is the secret. And I think all of that is bullshit, and I've talked about it so many times on my channel. And I think that people are mirrors, and they are essentially reflecting different assumptions you have about yourself. That is why you feel intimidated in front of certain people, because you think you're not as smart as them. And that is why you feel childish in front of some people, because you think you are safe with them. It has nothing to do with them. It is essentially your perspective about yourself. And that knowledge is very important whenever you're manifesting love or a specific person in your life. And when I first saw my now SP's picture, I was like, this person is mine. This person is mine. So my intuition guided the next steps that I was supposed to take in consciously manifesting a specific person. But did it come easily? No. Did it happen easily? No. And looking back to that time after 3 years now, I truly believe that I had that, if I had that intuitive calling now at this age, I wouldn't have given it so much importance as much as I did it back then, because now I am very secure in my knowledge of being intuitive, in my knowledge of being the know it all about my own life, despite how I am feeling on an everyday basis. Back then, what happened is that I was still very porous to other people's energies, behaviors, assumptions about life. I had low maintenance friendships. I had female friends who always shit talked relationships and men. And none of this was helping. So, from intuition, it brings me to the second point. You really need to be stubborn if you want something. And if you want something badly enough, you're not going to fantasize about it anymore. You are going to be really getting it on a deadline. And that does not happen by telling yourself things like, oh, I can manifest things in 3 days. I personally believe, for me, when I have said things like, oh, I manifest in 3 days, oh, I manifest everything instantly, it puts more resistance. That has been my personal journey. I am not saying that it does not work for someone. If it is work, it does not work for anyone. If it works for you, please continue that. Okay, don't take each and everything that I say as fact, because I always tell my clients, figure out your own formula. And that is exactly why I don't make this entire channel about one particular formula, one particular method. I don't just talk about robotic affirmations, or I don't just talk about subliminals. I don't just talk about scripting. I think you should take it as a learning process, and you should see what helps you to enjoy the process more. You need to love what you are doing, because if you love the grind, you don't feel like you're hustling for it anymore. I hope that makes sense. I mean, you can't be 100% in love with all of it, but at least be excited. At least know that even after spirals, you will get back to it. And that requires a lot of stubbornness. And if you want something badly enough, I think you will do it. That is what I did. Right? So throughout the entire no contact period, although I had the worst of assumptions about my SP, I used to think stupid things like maybe, oh, maybe he is married, maybe he's a spy, maybe he's this, maybe he's that. I had the worst of assumptions about my SP, and it still happened. And he reflected only the purest of assumptions I had of him. So if they say that thought, every negative thought needs to be flipped, that is also wrong. That is also debunked right now. Because if your intuition has been telling you for so long that if he exists, you exist, and if you exist, then he exists, then none of the countless number of things that you have been feeling, the 60,000 thoughts that cross in a day, they don't matter, because you will be able to overcome all of that if you really believe in yourself, in what you deserve, in how you see yourself. You can be the most depressed person in the world and you can still have high standards in love. You can be born to a poor family, but you can still expect to be a millionaire. And that is why we have success stories like that. We have inspirations and role models who made it for themselves, making it happen for yourself. Intuition, stubbornness, going back to it and falling in love with the process. You won't fall in love with it on the first day, you won't fall in love with it on the second day, but repetition in every form, repetition of every form is important. So, your questions about how many times should I be affirming, or what scenes should I write, or how many times should I listen to a subliminal, and asking people in the comment sections, how many times do you play it? Did it work for you? Did it work for you? Did it work for you? You're asking the wrong questions. Your focus is everywhere except where it is supposed to be. It is supposed to be within you. You only need your validation. When I used to listen to other people's advices, my life was shit. And I was like, you know what? I know everything perfectly. If I want it, then that's it. I only need my validation. I only need my approval. And I'm so confident that my assumption and my intuition is so right that what I see now, what I believe is right for me now, everyone around me will believe. That has to be the way you perceive yourself. That has to be the way you perceive yourself, even with respect to your SP. If your SP says that blah, 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 because we don't care about what SP says, right? You will be like, okay, he's not as far sighted as I am. I'm still going to get him because that man is mine. He's coming home with me. I'm the wife. That has to be the audacity. If you want to be successful, you have to just think that you're worthy of it. That is why writers can have writer's block, but they can never stop writing. That is why an artist can never stop painting. They can have creative blocks. It is all the same. With intuition and stubbornness, a person can achieve anything depending on how far they can expand their mind. They can heal their bodies, they can change their appearances, they can manifest whoever they want in their life, whatever they want in our life. I truly believe that. And that is why, they say that whenever you are indulging in any sort of an activity or an art form, you need to live that thing in your head. And this is the motto, this is the formula of anyone who is an expert in their craft. Something which my Guru Ma and my Guruji also tells in class, in my Kathak classes and my dance classes. For those of you who do not know what Kathak is, it's a classical dance form that I've been learning. And when your body wants to give up, because dance is no less than a sport, and it is applicable for any sportsman also. That is why mental health for sportsmen are so sports persons are is so important. They always tell you mind over body. So when your body wants to give up, when you can't move your legs, you have to just tell your body that you are not feeling any pain and you are actually excelling at your craft. And that is why all of that sweat, all of that hard work, all of that dedication and discipline pays off, right? Can you imagine the mental stamina of those people who continue doing something like sports? They don't even see the success all the time, but they show up at the field for practice every day, irrespective of how the weather is, irrespective of how their health is, right? So, when you are manifesting a specific person, it is just a bunch of assumptions that you need to flip. But firstly, you need to ask yourself, why do I want this? And am I feeling comfortable in wanting it? That's all. You just need a reassurance from yourself. And the knowledge of thought transmission should make it easy that what you think, what you persistently think, is going to show up. That is how law of assumption works, that is how manifestation works, and that is how life works in general. Your predominant set of assumptions about yourself is going to show up, and your assumptions form your expectations from your life. So, people who are listening to this video, the ones who are actually strong minded, the ones who know that their manifestation is meant for them, they will be like, yeah, okay, no more crying, no more content consumption. From today, I'm just going to be the person who is stubborn as hell, delusional and as hell, and who is always going to assume that the best relationship is going to manifest for me and my SP is going to be better than anyone in the world. But those who still have limitations, those who still do not want to do the work, they will be like, but how do I manifest intuition? And I'm not insulting you. I'm calling you out. All your questions are predominantly your refusal to do the work. And by the work, I mean to really look at yourself in the mirror as the person who believes that your manifestation is meant for you. You are safe to manifest the person, the love of your life. It is only love that you are manifesting. All your insecurities are not even yours. The fact that you believe that you cannot be loved or your body is not good enough is something that you have been projected on by other people. These are all reflections of trauma as a result of attacks from assholes in your past. So for so long, you are playing out the person. You're playing out a personality based on your past. So, if you play out a personality based on your past, how are you going to expect that your life is going to change tomorrow? How are you going to expect that your SP is going to love you tomorrow if you still hold on to the past so much? And that is why they say, stop giving importance to the old story. That is why they say your subconscious mind always knows better than you. That is what? Your intuition always knows what is best for you. So tap into your intuition today. Why do you want that person? And if that text is not coming right now, do you feel ugly? Do you think that you will not be able to go through the entire day? If so, if you cannot go through the entire day without the validation of a text from your SP, then is it going to remain the same? Or do you have a life of your own which keeps you so busy, so happy, which makes you love yourself back that you are going to move on from that lack, right? And I'm not saying you need to have a fulfilled mindset, you need to eliminate lack mindset to get what you want. No, absolutely not. I do not believe in that. I actually believe that, yeah, if you're manifesting something, you obviously have the lack of it, and that is why you're manifesting something. If you don't have money, you will obviously feel poor. Of course, these are all true. That is why I don't believe in all of those. Oh, stay positive, do this puja, that ritual. No, I don't believe in all of that. I mean, if you like worshipping, if you like doing rituals, do it. But don't do it in the from a place where you think that if you don't do it, you will die. If you don't do it, you will ruin your manifestation. No, that is not how it works. When I knew that I am going to manifest the love of my life, and this time I'm going to do it seriously, I took lessons from other people's success stories. I started giving importance to it and I took it as a learning experience. I was like, wow, this is how they saw movement. This is how their bridge of events were. Oh, this is how SP turned out, but mine is going to be the best. That is how you also do not idolize anyone else's personal experiences. You just take notes from it. And that is the most important thing that you can do in your journey to have your individuality. Because what happens is that when something else crashes, when someone else's relationship crashes and you have idolized it so much, then your confidence about relationships, life, assumptions, everything, that also gets, ruined somehow. You depend on a certain model so much that your own assumptions come falling down. So that should not happen. When you are getting inspired by other people's story, you'll be like, okay, this is inspiring. Now, how I can apply it to my life? Now, how do I look at my SP? What are my assumptions about marriage? What are my assumptions about life partner? When I was calling in my SP, I knew that I was being mistreated by a lot of people who were there in my life. And, there were so many people who were telling me that my requirements or my needs are too high or too unrealistic. I somehow never caved in. I was like, if I believe that these standards are not too much, then there has to be someone who also believes the same, because I bring all of these things to someone else's table. So someone else will obviously be there to create that balance. And that is how you also stop giving up on people who keep you limited, who leech onto you. And I did spend a lot of time in isolation, only, only to tell myself that I am never too much. And when I cleared all of these things from my life in the physical reality, I gave up old habits, I gave up toxic habits like, clubbing, partying, drinking, going out and chasing the noise, not knowing how to stay with myself. When I gave up all of that, I could focus better. And that's when I made space for my relationship, for my SP, for my career, for getting better at things that I love, for understanding what I can do. I never knew that I wanted to teach manifestation, but I understood that I'm good at it. And someone reflected that back in my 3D by seeking coaching, by telling me that, Olivia, why don't you teach this? And that is how I became a coach. And even now, when I'm creating content, I'm never worrying about views. I'm never worrying about getting viral. Some videos get viral, some stay stuck in 143 views or whatever. I just want to make myself one thing clear, that, Olivia, am I showing up? Am I showing up as the person who really knows what she's talking about, who has learned something from herself and her own experiences, who is only competing with her old self, and who is proud of herself, and who's not misguiding people, and has finally begun to enjoy the grind? Am I that person? That is the conversation that I have with myself. So I'm not strict on any deadlines. And that is how effortless manifestation gets. That is how, when you think of something, it instantly manifests sometimes. And certain things take time. Certain things take time. And I'm glad some things take time, because I am also evolving during the process, and it gives me an assurance that whether I still want it, whether I'm still stubborn about it, if I'm stubborn about it, then I can make it happen. So when something is taking time, I know that I'm getting more in touch with my intuition. And the moment I am letting go of all of the limitations, when I'm not forcing affirmations, when I'm not forcing myself to be paranoid about getting something right now, immediately, when I'm not doing that, it happens then, it clicks then, it falls into place then, it manifests instantly then. That is why when I was trying from a place of insecurity, from a place of forcing it, from a place of, my life depends on it perspective to manifest my SP, I was only manifesting opposite results, like him deleting my contact, then heartbreak, all of that, right? But when I finally understood that this is something that I have to get done because it has been like a buried desire and I'm not demotivated by the desire anymore. I really think that I'm in the right state of mind to focus finally. It happened. It happened. It happened in 3 weeks. I really hope that this video makes you understand that you do not have to carry the burdens of the world to manifest love in your life. I teach you what your parents didn't, and today I am teaching you once again that with a little amount of craziness, with a lot of stubbornness, and by staying in touch with your intuition, which interprets as this is what I want. If I want it, that means I'm going to get it. I know my soul, my mind, and my body is meant for this. If this is the dialogue, and if this is the mindset that you can occupy right now, irrespective of how you feel, how crappy your life has been, if you right now decide to draw a line between yesterday and tomorrow, and if you make that decision, you are going to get the love of your life. Doesn't matter if that's a new person or an old person. You're going to make the business of your dreams. You're going to get your dream job. You're going to get whatever you want. You're going to heal your body. Thank you so much for watching. If you want coaching from me, please check the description box below to get in touch with me. I offer three types of courses: the self concept course, the specific person manifestation course, and the full immersive course, which is a longer course than the other two, where you get to spend more time with me. My methods involve techniques, personal WhatsApp support, and 1.5-hour sessions. If you want to get to know the details, please check the description box below. Also, like the video 3 times, it really helps me with the engagement. And always let me know in the comments section what you're feeling, what you're manifesting, where are you in your stage of manifestation, and what are your questions. I always reply to comments. If you like what I do here, you know where to find me. We'll meet again.